we know that anxiety is prolific now. Children at 6 years old are talking about having anxiety. Our grandparents, our parents are talking about having anxiety. It's wonderful now that we can name anxiety, but instead of anxiety being, or ADHD being a diagnostic, maybe let's look at it perhaps as being an adaptation to this modern world where everything is sprung onto us and we are constantly being pulled away from the very thing that needs our attention, is our true emotions, is where we are, is our presence, is our body. And what happens if we're in pain, or we get sick, or we get a headache, or we're bloated? These are all messages and signals from your body that you're not listening to. Because what happens with messages from your body, you will first get a very subtle sign of this anxiety, but we push it down. We might take some more coffee, we might scroll, we might Netflix, we might do whatever our release is, or whatever we do to mask our feelings and emotions, because they're a bit uncomfortable, right? And equally, we don't have time. We do not have time to be sick. So what do? We push it down, we suppress it. And then the next knock on the door might be like a more intense anxiety. We do the same thing. Next thing on the door is maybe a cold or a flu. Again, suppress it by taking drugs. Next thing is a headache. We suppress it. Next thing is maybe pain. I actually randomly got a frozen shoulder. And that was just an indication. It's like, Natalie, you're going too fast. You need to relax and calm down. And with a frozen shoulder, it's actually supposed to take 3 months to heal. But I worked on my emotions and I just rested, and I realized that I was doing too much. So with anxiety, really look at how far away you are from yourself, is essentially what I wanted to start with. And in saying all of this, equally, I knew that I was planning to do a podcast on anxiety. And gosh, you have to be careful what you ask for, right? Because this whole week, I have been faced off with excruciating anxiety that probably a lot of it isn't mine, because also if you are someone that is a little bit sensitive or energetic, you pick up the world's anxiety. You can pick up everybody's anxiety around you. So it's so important to have these mindfulness practices, the breath practices, really building up your container. And then we're also going to talk about all of these nutritional things, because, there can be different elements, like there could be inflammation in your body, there could be some gut issues that you might be dealing with. You could be deprived in your neurotransmitters, for example. And then it makes me think about, actors that are preparing intensely for this character over months, whether they're practicing for a character on portrayal or a psychopath, and they really have to embody this. I wonder, what happens in their life, or no wonder they go through these extreme anxiety and depression, because you are so in it. And just my week experience of knowing that I was going to be speaking about anxiety and then researching a little bit further, I was all in, and it was horrible. So you really have to practice what you preach. And then that just goes to the power of your words, and power of intention is so important. So without further ado, welcome back to the Her Daily Rhythm podcast. I'm Natalie Smyth, your host, a nutritionist and naturopath, and I'm so happy to be partnered with FemVed, a holistic wellness platform dedicated to empowering women's health from menstruation to menopause. So in this episode, you are in the right place if you are looking for some solutions of how to handle anxiety. And anxiety has something been very close to my heart, because when I was very young, from 11 years old, actually, I was put on medication for depression and anxiety as a small girl. And when I think about it now, obviously my parents did the best that they could do because they were really worried. But yeah, I was somebody that was really hyperactive. I couldn't sit still. I was very sensitive and emotion, and I was just trying to express a part of myself that I didn't really know how to, or didn't have the tools or guidance for. And so being on medication from 11 until 21 years old really inhibited my development in emotional regulation. So I really now am such an advocate for, we have so many tools around us, and that everything is just a message for you to investigate and inquire in. So I'm such a big proponent for creating space. I am addicted to busyness, and I know everybody that lives in a city or the modern world is addicted to busyness, because we don't really have any other solution, because we're just trying to keep up with our tasks and our loved ones, and we don't have time to face off and feel our emotions, because that's awkward. We don't know how long it will last. It might put us in a spiral, and let's be frank, it's painful. But it's really up to us to release and delve deeper into the pain, the emotions, and the sensations, because we are the ones that we have been waiting for. It is in this moment. There is no coincidence that in this time you were birthed right now. And with the whole world where it is, all of the catastrophe, calamities happening, it is our responsibilities to clear the way for our future and clean up our generations. So for you doing the work, doing the healing work, doing the investigatory work, just being here and listening to this information, you are clearing the way for yourself, your mother, your father, and their lineage. Because when we work on ourselves, it's a cascade effect. So let's get back to it. In today's episode, we're going to explore something close to women's lives: anxiety. Anxiety can range from fleeting moments of stress to constant overwhelm, forces that shapes our daily experiences. Whether it's linked to hormonal challenges, work pressures, or personal life events, it's something we cannot ignore. But if I told you that anxiety isn't always the enemy, together we'll look at the root causes, the sciences behind anxiety, and powerful tools from nutrition and supplements to mindfulness practices to help you restore balance. So let's begin this healing journey together. So what is anxiety? It's a normal stress response, like I said, but it can become problematic when it shifts from a temporary response to chronic generalized anxiety. Generalized anxiety disorder, it's known as GAD. It's characterized by persistence, worry, poor concentration, restlessness, muscle tension, irritability, fatigue, and sleep disturbances for longer than 6 months. So when we experience anxiety, it's not just mental or emotional, it's our body's entire stress response system becomes activated. And one key player here is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA. You've heard me speak about this. When it's triggered, it leads to the release of cortisol. And so chronically elevated cortisol levels can deplete serotonin and dopamine. Let me repeat that. Chronic elevated cortisol levels deplete dopamine and serotonin naturally. That's why we are always looking for a dopamine hit online, okay? Which lead to feelings of tension, sadness, or overwhelm. And studies show that hormonal imbalances can exacerbate this process, and for women, fluctuating estrogen and progesterone levels, especially during menstruation, perimenopause or menopause, can affect serotonin production. So estrogen helps to maintain our mood, but in excess, and it can increase anxiety due to its effects on the medial amygdala, the area in the brain that regulates anxiety. And so low levels of serotonin linked to symptoms of anxiety, depression, poor sleep can fuel and exacerbate this generalized anxiety disorder that we speak about. So the treatment for generalized anxiety disorder is your prescribed treatments is benzodiazepines such as Valium or Xanax. While they are effective short term, they come with significant side effects when used for long periods of time, and these drugs can cause tolerance. And when you need more of the medication to achieve the same effect, eventually it can lead to withdrawal symptoms. Benzodiazepines also cause cognitive impairment, slowing down memory, consolidation, and alertness, which can impact your daily functioning. I certainly noticed this when I was on them whilst I was a young child. Other classes of medications are SSRIs, which you would have heard of, which is used often for anxiety and depression. They also have their own risks. They link to weight gain, insomnia, jitterness, sexual side effects, and they can deter many women from continuing with their own treatment. So knowing these effects, it's understandable why so many of us are looking for an alternative, more natural ways to manage anxiety, because it's just a band-aid solution. Our nutrition plays a significant role in how we feel day to day, especially when it comes to anxiety, because what is nutrition? What is food? What is nature? It's light encapsulated. It is mitochondria. So when the sun hits your nutrients that are naturally grown, like your spinach, your chlorophyll, your fruit and vegetables, light is encapsulating that in the moment. And then what are we? We are light beings. We run on a circadian rhythm. We cannot live in darkness. We have vitamin D deficiencies, our immune system goes down, our inflammation markers go up. So we really want to start by looking at healthy fats for the brain. And fats are essential for brain health, especially omega-3 fatty acids. They're found in fish. You want small fish, salmon, flax seeds, and walnuts. And these fats reduce inflammation in the brain. They stabilize mood and promote better cognitive functioning. So you want to aim for at least 1 serving of omega-3 foods a day. This can also be algae and those chia seeds. It's also so important because we are talking about stabilizing our cortisol, that we really need to balance our blood sugar levels. So this means incorporating foods like your whole grains to stabilize those blood sugars, not having sugar, really reducing and minimizing refined foods. Your carbohydrates need to be particularly complex, like quinoa, oats, brown rice. They help the body produce serotonin, the neurotransmitter that helps calm the nervous system and regulate your mood. And one of my favorites, magnesium. It's known as the calming mineral. And magnesium is a powerful tool for those suffering with anxiety, because magnesium is known as nature's tranquilizer. It's also a mineral. So what that means, it's water soluble. So when you're stressed or your body's sweating or you urine, magnesium is released, and we don't make it naturally. So we always have to have those reserves of magnesium. Magnesium used to be so rich in our fruits and vegetables, but we know the topsoil is very depleted in these essential minerals now, particularly zinc as well, which supports your serotonin production. So it's so important that you are ensuring that you're having a serving every day. Low magnesium can worsen anxiety symptoms like restlessness and tension, and magnesium glycinate or magnesium citrate are the best forms for their bioavailability if you're supplementing, and particularly for anxiety. So I would recommend supplementing 200 to 400 milligrams at nighttime, but always please consult your doctor or healthcare practitioner. And then we can't look at anxiety without looking at the gut-brain connection and what's called psychobiotics. So we've all heard about the brain-gut axis, and for good reason, because the gut is often referred to as our second brain, and it is where 90% of serotonin is produced in your gut over your brain. So if you are having any symptoms in your gut, if you're experiencing diarrhea, constipation, bloating, pain, inflammation, then no wonder your mood is going to be unstabilized, because this is where you house your serotonin. And through our vagus nerve, which connects our gut to our brain, it's this biodirectional feedback loop is where our probiotics run up and down our bacteria, because it can cross the brain barrier. And if there is any inflammation in our gut, then there's going to be inflammation in our brain. So studies on psychobiotics, probiotics have been shown to influence mental health, shedding light on how gut bacteria can modulate anxiety. So there's a paper in 2013 that defines psychobiotics as a live organism that, when ingested in adequate amounts, produce a health benefit in patients suffering from psychiatric illness. So these bacteria produce neurotransmitters like GABA and serotonin, which are essential for calming the nervous system, like we've spoken about. And so you can support your gut health by incorporating fermented foods such as kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, and yogurt into your diet if you can digest that as well. So these foods help populate the gut with healthy bacteria that can produce GABA and serotonin, therefore releasing anxiety. And so other supplements that we want to look at for targeting anxiety release, particularly if you're experiencing chronic anxiety, they can really make a difference. So 5-HTP and tryptophan support serotonin production. If you are dealing with anxiety or PMS or depression, supplementing with 5-HTP or tryptophan tryptophan, which is a neurotransmitter, which is a precursor to serotonin. So what happens, you can't supplement with serotonin, but we are made up of enzymes, and there's a whole biochemical reaction always happening in your body every moment. So it goes tryptophan, 5-HTP, and serotonin. So ideally we want to take the top one because that goes to the source. So these are precursors to serotonin, and many women notice quick improvements in mood and sleep quality after using these supplements. So start with about 50 to 100 milligrams of 5-HTP or 500 milligrams of tryptophan, and always consult with your doctor and practitioner. And you want to use them sublingually because they help with better absorption, and the tryptophan works quite immediately. GABA, for women experiencing a lot of anxious tension, can work wonders, and GABA is a neurotransmitter that helps calm the brain, preventing overstimulation. So many people report feeling calmer within minutes of taking GABA supplementation. So I usually start my clients on a smaller dose, about 100 to 200 milligrams, to see how their body responds, as some people only need a small amount. And noticing that GABA is quite difficult to come by, so you do need to engage with a practitioner if you are looking to supplement, and always please speak to somebody before that, particularly if you are on medication. So if you're on any anxiety or depression medications, please consult your doctor before taking any of the supplements I suggest. And then adaptogens, herbs. I love herbs and adaptogens. Why are they called adaptogens? Because they help your body adapt to stress. Rhodiola and ashwagandha is hot in the press right now. I'm sure you've heard of them. They can support your body's ability to cope. Rhodiola helps with focus and energy, so great if you're working, while ashwagandha is more calming. So I usually recommend ashwagandha in the evening for its calming effects on the nervous system, and then rhodiola in the morning as well. Now, we can't talk about all of this without lasting lifestyle shifts. So no anxiety is complete without addressing lifestyle and mindfulness. Daily meditation, as you know, and breathing techniques often stem from shallow, rapid breathing. I remember when I was deep in my corporate work, I spoke to a nutritionist, and this is also whilst I was studying, and she said to me, "Natalie, do you know that you're not breathing? You're breathing here. So if you're shallow breathing like this, you're just going to create yourself a panic attack, because what do we speak about? Serotonin is made in the gut. So we have to breathe into the gut. That's why that 4-box breathing is really great. So let's see if we can stop for a moment and do it. We inhale into our belly, blowing up a balloon in your belly. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4. Into your belly, drop your shoulders. Hold for 4, 2, 1. Exhale. Beautiful. Ooh, that feels good. That feels good for me, racing to try and get all of this information to you in 10 minutes. So just in that breath, by doing that in a few repetitions, it lowers your cortisol. It's what we need to do, right? And then we can't speak about movement, because movement really is the number one medication that you need to raise your cortisol, release stress. Otherwise, because when we rise first thing in the morning, our cortisol is the highest, right? And if we don't use cortisol, we store cortisol. So on waking, for you, whatever time you wake up, in that first hour, it's so productive to utilize your cortisol and get it pumping through your whole body, get your blood pumping, move it, get out of your head. Your body wants you to move. Your body wants you to move the sensations and messages and emotions that is trapped in your body from the past. Because if you have had a bad experience, if you've had, going through any emotional overwhelm, or even had a bad call, that resistance, that tension is stored and trapped in your body, and it will keep going down layer and layer and layer, causing this big tension bubble until you release it. The only thing that you have to do to release is move, or remove the anger, do some punching, do some screaming into a pillow, feel the sensation, cry, because emotion only does last for 3 minutes and then it's gone for good. Otherwise, it's stored inside you. So dance, move, go around a walk, do whatever makes you high, cook, like whilst you're doing the hoovering, do your squats, whatever feels good to you is your remedy and medicine. And mindful journaling can be a powerful tool to explore the depths of your mind too, because a lot of the time we actually don't really know what we're ruminating. And then if you journal and notice over 10 days, for example, you're ruminating about the same thing and you're actually pretty crazy, but it has to release somewhere. And so a journal is not about keeping it and looking back. It's just a way and mode of getting the information, getting the excess stimulation out of your mind, and realizing that you're just creating a story, right? It's not even true. It's just a version of a truth that you've created. So please set aside 10 to 15 minutes to do this daily in the morning or at the evening, because then these thoughts make space for peace, make space for the truth that needs to come through. So in today's episode, we've explored anxiety from multiple angles, its psychological roots, how it impacts our hormones and the foods, supplements, and lifestyle shifts that can make a difference. The important takeaway is that anxiety is not something that we have to battle alone or with harsh medications. By listening to our bodies, nourishing ourselves with the right foods, and supporting our nervous system with gentle, effective supplements and a support team, your community, you can transform anxiety into an opportunity for growth. And thank you so much for joining Her Daily Rhythm. I'm so grateful for you to be here, to hear our message, to connect. Please share this with somebody that would really benefit. And like always, tell me what you love, tell me what you don't like, and please introduce me to somebody that I can interview that you love too, so we can keep sharing this message to live within our rhythm, to live within the rhythm of life, and we can explore the totality of the beauty of life has to offer. Thank you so much. That's the mindfulness bell. Whenever you hear it sporadically, you can set a timer on your phone for it to go off sporadically throughout the day. And when you hear it, stop and notice. Are you in the present? Are you in the future? Are you in the past? Where is your body? Where is your thoughts? I learned this tool and technique when I was at Thich Nhat Hanh's monastery, a mindfulness monastery in France, in Bordeaux. It's a wonderful place, but you would go about your day and your business, and sporadically throughout the day they would ring the bell. And most of the time, yes, my mind was in the future or in the past or somewhere in between, and I was tense and maybe not really tuned into my body. So it's a wonderful practice to you can download the app on your phone and you can sporadically play it throughout the day. And when I used to work in a corporate office, my mindfulness bell would go off frequently, and then I got everybody involved. So it was really nice. But if you have important meetings, maybe you can set the timer. So you can organize that. But it's a wonderful tool and a good reminder because, I practice this, I live this, but I am also working at my desk at my computer for 10 hours a day, and life happens and it's stressful, and I live in a modern world. So these tools all help build